Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, which is a Jess Day. Welcome, Dr. Jess Trimble.
Thank you.
We have an extra piece of news today. It is, dun, 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 our 75th episode of Facebook Live of Kelly Speaks. So way to go us. We never knew we'd get this far, actually, when we started. We just started helping people during COVID, giving them good information that's pertinent to help manage through this time. So look at us go. Yay us, right? And Jess, you've been a part of it since the get-go. Every Wednesday is Jess Day.
Every Wednesday is Jess Day. I'm going to have to start reminding my husband of that. Hey, it's Jess Day. Don't forget.
Get out the glitter. It's Jess Day, right? You need to do the dishes tonight because it's Jess Day, right?
That's right.
Right. What do you have for us today, Jess?
So today we have some news and tips. This one is one that I really love. I think I probably say that every week, but the whole idea of health literacy is really important to me. A lot of the work that I've done in the past has been about how we can increase access to care for those people who financially can't afford it or just truly don't really understand. Being health literate is really critical to patient compliance. If our clients don't understand why they need to do something, chances are they're not going to do it. And so obviously this is coming from the human world, but there was an incredible study that was done where they used both chatbots and real people, and they focused on colonoscopies simply because, fewer variables, one condition. But what they did was they had populations where they didn't reach out, just scheduled the appointment and said, hey, you are of the age where you need a preventative colonoscopy, be here on this day. And then they did a group where they were sending messages, emails, this is why it's important. Hey, don't forget your appointment. This is just the steps to take from here. And I believe the rate that they saw was an 18% decrease in no-shows and cancellations, which is enormous. If you think about the number of appointments and the amount of revenue that is lost, and I believe in this article they also mentioned that in some of these clinics, especially in clinics that are in lower income areas or areas with lower health literacy, almost 15% of their revenue every day was lost to cancellations and no-shows. But having somebody reach out with this tele-education reduced that dramatically. And so if we can figure out how to apply this in the veterinary world, it's really not all that different or difficult using text and email. And here they used an artificially intelligent chatbot, which is brilliant, but I don't expect veterinary clinics to be at that point yet. So even having, if you've got a veterinarian who's got an afternoon off, have them write up a million different little blurbs. This is why neutering your dog is important. This is why doing a blood glucose curve on your diabetic cat is important. And then sending those intermittently, especially to those clients that, you may be a little worried about, that you don't think they really understand the importance of, why giving insulin twice a day is so critical to their pet's health. And you should see a fairly dramatic increase in the amount of patient or owner compliance and patient health outcomes just through some simple little outreach. And sometimes it's not even the fact that they've read it and engaged with it or really absorbed it, but just the fact that you are reaching out and you are saying this is important. If we look at branding, I believe they say that somebody starts to really recognize your brand, or it starts to click with them after 3 views of your logo or your company name. And it's going to be sort of the same for, this dog needs a dental. Mentioning it to them about 3 times will give you a far better compliance rate than just saying it once and then hoping that they remember to do it. So, it's not necessarily harassing your clients, but sending them targeted engagements of why something is important. And especially if you're not selling them anything in that moment, if you are just purely sending them educational information, again, it's going to increase that bond. It's going to increase their health literacy, and they're much more likely to come in for that appointment. So better revenue for the clinic, better health outcomes for the patient. I think we say this every week. Telehealth is going to increase both your revenue and your patient health outcomes. So all around good things with tele-education. And we can skip to the tip now. This was one that I loved to do with my last position, which is getting rid of the stupid stuff. You know, when you're in a clinic or you're working with your team and there's that point in the day where someone has to do paperwork or someone has to, go and do the OSHA notebooks, and everyone just sort of rolls their eyes and sighs because they hate it and they don't understand it and it's inefficient. And why on earth should I even do this, because it doesn't actually affect our patients? That could potentially be some stupid stuff. So, we found that asking all of our frontline staff to kind of get together and brainstorm, what are all the little things that you are doing that drive you nuts, that you think are inefficient, that you think are pointless, that you think could be done better by somebody else in the hospital? And they came up with brilliant ideas, and we were able to really streamline a lot of stuff. And because those ideas were coming from our frontline team, they felt like they really had an impact on the clinic, and they were so engaged and happy that they really had an impact. So part of this too comes from an article from the American Medical Association, and they're really dedicated to preventing physician burnout. And there's that one statistic that I find fascinating in the human world, which is for every hour of face-to-face contact, we see 2 hours of administrative work or electronic health record work, which is absolutely insane. And is a big reason that a lot of veterinarians and physicians leave, because they're here to help the patients, not do paperwork. So part of this discussion too should be, what are your doctors doing that they don't need to be doing? What are your doctors doing that we can pass on to technicians or assistants that will empower them, and they'll be happy to do it because they're doing something that the doctor used to do? It helps, kind of give them a sense of importance as well. So get your team together and figure out what you're doing that you don't necessarily need to do. Some of this is like regulatory compliance, OSHA work, because a lot of people just don't understand it. And it scares them because they can get these huge fines if they don't do it right. But, having one of your techs or CSRs sit down for half a day, really deeply review it, and come back with some suggestions on how to streamline it might actually save you hours and hours and hours. So we did this too. I hated the OSHA stuff. I just drowned in all of the different regulations. I asked my techs, hey, who wants to do this? One was gung-ho about it, and she made just incredible workflows and notebooks, and she really helped to streamline everything that we were doing. So, don't be afraid to get your team together and really discuss what drives them nuts, what's working, what's not. And then if you can, find those things that are sucking up a lot of time and figure out what you can transition to a digital format or an automated format. Because some of it too is, hey, I'm an assistant and I spend 6 hours every other day doing patient callbacks, and only a third of them actually answer the phone. Why aren't you sending text messages or emails? And you can do this on an automated basis through a lot of platforms now. So look at those inefficiencies, figure out what you can automate away, and I think you could be really surprised how much spare time you can find just by sort of crowdsourcing and brainstorming with your team.
I love it. Because it's true, it creeps up on us. We don't think about it, and then we think, well, that didn't take so long, or somebody else will take care of it, and then it miraculously shows up on your desk, and you don't realize that miraculous item had hours attached to it. So how you use those human hours, which tends to be one of our biggest expenses, in any employment situation. Humans are expensive. They're needed, they're wonderful, but use them wisely.
Absolutely. Yeah, we saw just a wonderful sort of increase in our team members' personal satisfaction and well-being when we were able to say, find me all the things that tick you off and then figure out how to fix them. And just giving them the keys to their own kingdom. They're happy, the clinic's working better. Why not? But a lot of people aren't really willing to give their staff members that much autonomy.
No, and we've been discussing that at Beyond Indigo, respect and trust. And we even did a Facebook Live about what we're moving to with the fall with schools. You know, like I want the staff to do homeschooling first if they need that, or if they have a senior care situation or some other life situation that has emerged because of this time. Let's figure out how to flex work around it, right? Because otherwise you lose. It's something's going to give, and most likely everything's going to give, and it's just going to be awful for everybody. So you're like, and the team's like, you know, you respect us so much. Let's take that even further. Let's talk about respecting our schedule. So,
absolutely, and you know, I think we talk a lot about obviously the negatives that have come out of this pandemic, but the positives too. You know, we're realizing that we can work from home flexibly and we can balance our own lives and our work lives. And, you know, people who are working from home aren't actually just sitting around on Facebook all day. They're getting stuff done and balancing it. And who knew that human beings could actually be responsible and, you know, autonomous enough to work on their own without someone standing over their shoulder. It's incredible.
They can do it. They can be adults all by themselves, right? I know, it's pretty cool.
It's great. Yeah, it's always boggled my mind. You know, we're all expected to do our own taxes, but in a business situation, we're not allowed to look at the numbers a lot. And so it's crazy to me, all of these skills that people have in their daily lives that they're not allowed to apply in their work life. Anyway, that's another soapbox for another day.
Right. That totally is another soapbox. But I agree with you. You know, it's trust and autonomy, and humans have been micromanaged for too long and been dehumanitized. So I think I don't even know if that's a word, but I just made it. So it's good.
Yeah.
It gets the point across, right?
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Like, let humans do the job that humans are best for and automate everything else that is just really dumb. That doesn't.
Yep. Get rid of the stupid stuff.
Get rid of stupid stuff, right? I think it's great. So what's not stupid though, so beside it being our 75th episode and tips of making and empowering humans, which you gave today, and encouraging people to be empowering in that sort, do you have anything else for us today, Jess?
Well, we're actually not going to talk about the garden today, but it's still sort of plant related. I figured I would share with you some of, it's kind of my side gig, I guess, of I do a lot of painting, acrylic, watercolor, and it was one of my 2020 goals was that by the end of this year, I wanted to sell one of my paintings, and I haven't done it yet. I've had people ask me for them, but I have not yet sold anything because I wanted to hold on to them too much. But this is sort of my latest. I've got a bunch more, but being a veterinarian, I'm fascinated with comparative anatomy and how, you know, skulls of different animals look, and then same with plants, how different they all are. And so I've started a series of various plants and animal skulls, and they've been really fun for me to do. I find that days that I'm just anxious or not sort of, you know, sitting right in my own head, if I can just get an hour of drawing or painting, I'm just zen and happy. So, you know, even if you are terrible at art, I think just the fact of sitting down and doing anything, writing for an hour, painting for an hour, something that is a creative outlet, even if you're terrible at it, you will get better. It's so good for your brain.
It's true. And it's beautiful. I mean, even adult coloring books where you don't even have to know how to draw. You can just fill in the holes. I mean, that's about my speed for artwork. And I embrace it. I totally embrace it. But the pencils are really important to me. So, you know, I have a certain set of pencils because you can't mess up the pencils. And I'm definitely not a marker girl. So I told you, you know, the paper has to be pristine. But besides all those things, like I do really good coloring in between the lines. But your work is beautiful. Are you ever going to put them like on T-shirts or prints or anything in a print-on-demand shop? Do you know?
I think I'll probably do some prints at some point, just for fun. And I think more so just to see anybody actually would want to give me money for something that I do for fun. Why not?
Why not? Well, it's lovely. And we were talking this week too here at Beyond Indigo that just you got to have hobbies. You have to have a mental break. You can't get on a plane and go to a break if you're traveling sort like you and I are, and we like going and exploring the world, and we can't right now. How else can you get a break, right? Like, what does that look like to you? And how often do you take one?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great. Well, thank you for sharing. They're gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I was enjoying, I think everybody else missed the lovely pictures of Kelly's creative outlet of putting in new flooring, which I think is probably a little cathartic too, jamming those boards in place.
It is. It is. Not really quite ready to share it with the world yet, the pictures, but it is definitely takes your mind off everything else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
It's good. Well, we'll see you on the last Wednesday of this month. So next week, and it'll be great.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.